Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I have a video for you about how to fix Call of Duty, or at least how I would go about fixing Call of Duty, because I get asked this question very frequently in my YouTube PM box, on Twitter, in game sometimes. How would you fix Call of Duty? And that does imply that Call of Duty is inherently broken, and broken isn't the right word, but it's struggling. It's got more flaws than it used to have, or at least it seems that way. And while it is still the #1 selling game in the world and has one of the bigger online communities, it's not as #1 selling as it used to be. The competitors are closer and sales are down a little bit, and the community is not nearly as cohesive as it used to be, though it was never particularly cohesive to begin with. So something is wrong with the game. Something is wrong with our game that we're playing, and I get asked all the time on how I would fix it, so I'm gonna just give you the answer right here. If you've always wanted to know, if there's any, I hope, developers out there listening, this is what I would do to make Call of Duty a better game. And I would start with Team Deathmatch. That's what I'm playing right now. I'm playing it on the new Havoc DLC maps and using my little silenced AK here. And I almost never play Team Deathmatch because I don't enjoy this mode anymore. I don't find it particularly fun to run around and just kill people, and that's kind of all you do, and they kind of spawn everywhere. There's no real control, and unless you go in with a team, it's not really exciting. Unfortunately, the vast majority of the Call of Duty community would disagree with me on that. Team Deathmatch always has been and still is the biggest or at least most frequently played game mode. At least like 50% of the people online at any given time are in TDM or free-for-all. I'm going to throw free-for-all in this one. I would also take a look at free-for-all. Free-for-all used to be extremely popular, competed with TDM, but as the games progressed, there were less and less people playing free-for-all because a lot of them moved to objective modes because the spawns got really bad. The spawns in Team Deathmatch and free-for-all have been pretty bad, if not really bad, in every Call of Duty game that I can remember. Even including Black Ops 2, they were pretty rough. I really did not enjoy TDM spawns. I never get map control. They feel kind of random. I don't have a good idea where people are spawning, where the threats are coming from, and it's just a big jumbly mess. And Ghost was a pretty big offender about this, especially when it first came out. The spawns were really bad. The maps would be gigantic, bigger than the maps that you're playing right now, and you would kill somebody, and then they would pop up like 3 feet away from you and shoot you in the back. It was this old school kind of idea they had with revenge spawns. It kind of like throws you back into the fight faster and gives you the opportunity to kill the guy that kills you because it feels rewarding and good and all these sort of things. But I felt that it was a terrible idea, and the spawns in free-for-all and Advanced Warfare are abysmal. Now, TDM spawns are okay in this game, but FFA ones are absolutely abysmal. You can start the game looking at somebody's back, so if I just hold my finger down on the right trigger as soon as the game starts, I just blow somebody away and get a free kill, first blood. That is really, really bad. And the worst thing about that is these are the game types that most people play. Most people really don't want to do the objective game modes. Yeah, most people try all of the game types eventually, but the one that they play most frequently is TDM and free-for-all. At least it used to be free-for-all. And those are the ones that have the most problems. Those are the ones that have the worst spawns and the least map control and are overall the worst feeling in this entire game. And if you want to fix Call of Duty, if you wanted to make it a better game that is more fun for the majority of people, you have to make these modes work. These are your #1 and #2 most plays mode. These are where those casual gamers, which this game is ultimately designed for, are going to be for the most part. And if those modes don't work, then the general consensus about the game is that it's going to be a bad game. Like, I'll actually make fun of this game here. I'll pick on this one. A lot of people say that Advanced Warfare is a bad game, or, whatever the most recent Call of Duty is, of course, is going to be the worst game. And I'll agree with you, but I think that modes like Momentum, or Hardpoint, or Uplink play infinitely better than TDM or free-for-all, but the average person who has never played this game, they're going to pick it up, and they're going to try it for the first time. They're going to try free-for-all, and they're going to get shot in the back by some sort of goofy spawn or something, and they're just not going to have a good time. They're going to say the game's terrible, and they're not going to bother trying every single game type. These modes must work. In doing so, you're going to restore faith in the game from the casual community. Anybody that picks it up will have a much better time playing it. The word of mouth will be better, and you'll ultimately have more people playing it because the game modes that people want to play will work better. Fix #2 is perhaps more complicated and more technical. The in-engine lag needs to be reduced. I cover this every single year in some degree on my channel, but Call of Duty's engine has an inherent delay built into it. A lot of people call it broken cameras, or split screen lag, or LAN lag. It's technically all of these things. and it has to do with how lag compensation works and how the engine processes data and all sorts of really technical stuff. And lag compensation is considered the devil, but as frustrating as it is, you absolutely have to have it to play in this game. If you want to see a game with no lag compensation, there's actually a mod on COD 4 that completely removes all of the lag compensation from COD 4, so you can play it lag comp free, and surprise, surprise, you're not able to shoot or hit anybody. It's really miserable, so we need those, but the in-engine lag kind of compounds this problem. You get these magic bullets, they go around the corner, or I totally shot him 5 times and he just ate these hit markers and didn't die. Of course you're lagging online. You're playing all over the world with people that have crazy connections, good, bad, and ugly, McDonald's internet, 56K, whatever. But if the game engine itself lags, and in the case of Advanced Warfare it's 75 to about 130 milliseconds, Black Ops 2 is pretty similar. Ghost was actually a little bit less, closer to like 30 to 50 milliseconds, but the engine has some built-in lag. You stack that on top of the regular lag, and the experience is kind of poor. So if you want to make the people complain less about lag instead of making some crazy, infrastructure changes and dedicated servers all over the world, which I'm not even going to argue about today, or changing the lag comp formula, etc., removing this from the engine should make it feel better online. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I'm not exactly a networking wizard, but that's totally my opinions about it. Next up is that we need an awesome PC version. We don't need a good PC version. We don't need a barely playable PC version. We don't need an alright and bug-free PC version, which right now most people would be extremely happy with and praise the gods. But I think that the next Call of Duty that is made needs a godlike PC version. A PC version that makes PC players happy to play this again, because our PC community is dead for the most part. If you play Advanced Warfare on PC or Call of Duty in general, you know that if you're not playing COD 4, the community is pretty much eroded. On hell, COD 4 doesn't even have proper server support anymore. That's a different problem. But PC has been getting worse and worse ports every single year. And yes, ultimately they are ports. I'll say that Black Ops 2 worked. It was playable. It was pretty similar to the console version. It wasn't anything amazing. There were no graphical advantages on the PC, or not, really impressive ones, because it was more or less a straight port, but people were okay with it. Ghost was a pretty big unoptimized mess. You couldn't get frame rates very high. People had resolution problems. Even with really godlike graphic cards, it didn't work. They built in arbitrary restrictions on RAM and processing power that the game did not need at all to run, but were literally arbitrary restrictions to prevent you from playing because it was a marketing game to make it look like it needed better stats than Battlefield. And Advanced Warfare started off looking really good. When the game first came out, it's like, oh wow, we have all these options on PC, which previously we didn't have nearly as many of graphical options, like all these settings, and it's like, oh, this is going to be really great. And then what we found out is that the map Defender doesn't even load. It causes your frame rate to drop to 1 to 2 frames and the game to freeze. And you have some other like weird areas that you'll look at and cause to freeze. And something is really screwed up with the matchmaking too. The matchmaking on PC is rougher than it is on any other version of Advanced Warfare. And it's not just because of the player base. Even with similar amounts of players, other games do matchmaking better. And even before that, the PC versions of these games weren't super awesome. So our PC community has slowly eroded to nothing. And there's something special about the PC community, and that's that they are the loudest community by far. I find that the vast majority of people that complain, that say that they absolutely hate Call of Duty, that Call of Duty is the worst game ever, that they will never play, that they give it the lowest ratings on all the sites and make all the complaints, that's PC players. They're loud. If you make them angry, you're going to hear about it 10 times more than you ever would from a console player or from anybody else. So if you want good online reviews, if you want a lot of community, engagements, reactions, if you want a big fan base, anything like that, the people that you want on your side and not against you is the PC community. And what do they want from Call of Duty? They don't want crazy tessellation and graphics and next-gen amazingness. They want a port of the game that is functional, that is relatively bug-free, that doesn't crash, that isn't a complete unoptimized mess with FPS crap, caps. They don't want all sorts of weird things going on. They don't want, mouse acceleration. There's a million little things they want, but they want their game to work just like a normal PC game. And that's about it. And they haven't been getting any love in the last couple versions. As a matter of fact, during the, I think, marketing campaign of Advanced Warfare here, PC wasn't even mentioned. Even in public forums where it was like the top most upvoted question was information about the PC version, it was completely ignored. My guess is because since Xbox pays to have like everything Call of Duty branded Xbox, that they weren't even allowed to talk to the PC version. about it, but I would love to have the next Call of Duty be awesome on PC, to be really good and like to bring the mouse and keyboard warriors back. And also, the PC community is one of the biggest ones in the entire world. Like, console gamers are very casual, there's a ton of them, but if you don't know where the most gamers are globally, all over the world, that's PC. PC can be really, really huge, and a really good, really huge Call of Duty on PC could completely revive this scene. Lastly, the last little thing I want is, it's actually a pretty straightforward thing. I don't think anybody's going to be very surprised by it. No bugs, no crazy weird glitches on launch. And this isn't just Call of Duty. Heaven forbid we spend all day talking about Halo Master Chief Collection or Assassin's Creed face-melting Bugfest Unity or whatever. But a lot of these AAA titles have launched with a lot of bugs. Advanced Warfare was no exception. Connections were really rough on launch. On older generation consoles, there were a lot of bugs. This game launched with camos that didn't work right, little places to get under the map. Really common. A lot of them still haven't been fixed. At least the camo bugs haven't. Let me think. Ghost launched with quite a few as well. A lot of strange little head glitches and stuff, and shooting around corners, and I don't know, all the weird dog bugs too. But all these games launch with bugs, lots and lots of bugs, and they get really frustrating, and people don't want to play games that are kind of working, and they don't want to wait for the first patch, and they don't want to be beta testers. They just want to play a game that works. That's one of the things, the great things about the old games, is that they were held to a higher standard of launch day quality, and that's not just in Call of Duty, but across the board. Like, previously, updating was far less frequent and like just a less common thing. You just didn't see it very often, so whatever was in that box more or less had to run. And now it's more like we'll ship it and patch it later, and sometimes you buy games that don't even work out of the box. Call of Duty doesn't need that. Call of Duty needs to be very good to go out of the box, to need minimal patching, no bugs reworked, no maps that freeze, none of that sort of stuff. I just want a game that works and isn't going to give me an aneurysm because my camos delete, my challenges reset, and all that sort of stuff. So those are the 4 things that I would fix about Call of Duty, and I think if those were changed, the next Call of Duty game would be much better received. Maybe not be a masterpiece, but all of the problems that we suffer in current Call of Duty games would be greatly alleviated. I hope you agree with me. If you do or if you don't, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you have to think about it. And as always, if you enjoyed, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.